Hi and welcome along to ArsenalFanTV. Now it's time to preview the FA Cup game, Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal. Arsenal are going to be going up the M1 to take on Forest on Sunday, and I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, we are the FA Cup holders. Who can forget last season when we beat Chelsea in the final, messed up their double, won the FA Cup for a record amount of times, and, you know, beat Man City in the semi-final as well. Nobody thought we could do it last year, and we did it. And to be fair, in the FA Cup, we've been brilliant. As I said, we're the record holders when it comes to winning it. We've won it 3 times out of the last 4 years, which is a truly amazing record. Had it not been for our really poor form in the league, you know, and the way we performed in the league, I think everybody would really be looking on that and just saying it's something amazing that we've done in the FA Cup. It's just that the league always takes our attention away from that. And we think to ourselves, well, yeah, that's great, but what about the league? But we can be really proud of what we've done in the FA Cup. And listen, going away to Nottingham Forest, on paper, you look on it and you say to yourself, listen, it's a great draw. It should be a standard win for Arsenal. However, that's the thing about the FA Cup. There are lots and lots of shocks every single year. And Nottingham Forest is the type of team that will be capable of a shock. Now, I know that last time we played Nottingham Forest, a couple of seasons ago, we played them in the League Cup it was, and we absolutely took them apart. We beat them by 4-0. But, as I said, FA Cup, their fans will be really up for it. You've got to be on your game or shocks can happen. I remember last year when we went to Preston and they put up a really good performance, Preston. We did prevail in the end, but listen, these teams will be really up for it. Now, let's look at Nottingham Forest. They've been having a bit of a tough time of it recently, really, in the Championship. We know, of course, Nottingham Forest is a club of great pedigree. I mean, I remember the last time we played them, their fans kept reminding us all throughout the game that they've won the European Cup and we haven't won it, which is true. They've got a lot of pedigree. They've just been on tough times, you know, over the past couple of decades. But they're a club with a great history. And they'll really be going for this. But, as I said, tough times recently. They recently sacked their manager, Mark Warburton. They're without a manager at the moment. And they've been pretty poor as well in the league. They're around about mid-table, but, you know, they've, out of their, last 4 home games, last 5 games, no wins in their last 5 games. Although they did get a very credible draw away to Leeds United over the Christmas period. But at home, they haven't been great. They lost their last 2 home games. So they are a team that Arsenal should be able to beat. But as I said, we're really going to have to be on it on the day. And of course, this game comes in between, you know, us having that really busy Christmas period where we've had loads of games. We had that intense game against Chelsea the other night, and then we've got Chelsea again next week, Wednesday. So what sort of team is Arsene Wenger going to put out for this? Is he going to prioritise this over the game against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup? I don't think so. The Carabao Cup's in the semi-final. It's really going to be interesting in both of those games what sort of team Arsene Wenger will put out. Now, I sort of put together my own team for it, and I'd love you guys in the comments below to put together your team that you think should play in this game on Sunday against Nottingham Forest. Well, I'll put together a team that I think this team should be good enough to beat Nottingham Forest and be able to rest a load of players that played against Chelsea that they can then be able to play again against Chelsea next week in the Carabao Cup. So here it goes. In goal, David Ospina. I think that'll be a very standard, him coming in the FA Cup. He did it last year, so I see no reason why he won't come in this time. Right back, in a back 3, I'll go for Debuchy. I think he's done very well when he's come in so far this season. Listen, he's been knocking on the door of the first team. So, you know, Debuchy definitely in there in the defence. Per Mertesacker, who hasn't figured a lot, didn't play the other night, surprisingly. The youngsters got in ahead of him, even with all our injuries. With all of the injuries that we've got, remember, there's no Koscielny, no Kolasinac, no Monreal. I think it's only right to put Per Mertesacker in there. And next to him, Callum Chambers. I continue with him. Now, you might be saying, why not Rob Holding? Because I keep Rob Holding fresh for the game that's coming up in the Carabao Cup against Chelsea. So that's probably why I'd leave him out there. But it could be either him or Chambers. But I'd go with Chambers. He had a quite a poor game the other night, and I just think he needs to get a few more games under his belt to start getting him, you know, moving along a bit better. So Callum Chambers I'd have in there. And then we go to the wing backs. I don't like playing this guy at wing back because I think I'd love to see him further forward. But in this game, I will stick with him at wing back, seeing as he's played there quite a lot in the Europa League and in the League Cup. And that's Reece Nelson. He's a great prospect. He's a player that can go past people. So Reece Nelson in there. Out on the other wing, it will be Maitland-Niles for me. He's full of energy. I don't think he needs a rest. He's really growing into the team. He had a great game the other night against Chelsea. Really is emerging as a real talent, real strong kid as well. I really like what I see with him. So Maitland-Niles in there. Then in the centre, I'd have Francis Coquelin. Dependable, reliable, not the most creative of players, but you know that, you know, he'll do a job in there. Alongside Mohamed El Neni as well, who, you know, listen, remember this guy, you know, El Neni, he's a decent player. He doesn't get to play a lot. He's more of a sort of utility player for Arsenal, but he can definitely come in and do a job. Then at two in front of them, Theo Walcott. Listen, Wenger saying today that he wants to keep him at the club. So if you're going to keep him at the club, then you may as well play him. So I'd have Walcott there. Walcott is the sort of guy that, listen, no matter how he gets criticised, he can score goals, right? So let's have him in there. And Alex Iwobi. Alex Iwobi needs a big game, needs to start proving himself again. He's really been on a bit of a dip. This is a great opportunity for him to show us what he can do. And then up front, I would have Danny Welbeck, who, of course, was brilliant. I remember last year in the FA Cup when we went away to Southampton, put Welbeck in there, get him scoring goals as well. Then, of course, on the bench, you've got guys like Eddie Nketiah you can put on there, Chuba Akpom, people like that. I'd even think there's a shout, I reckon, for putting a couple of experienced players on that bench as well as insurance. What I didn't like about the League Cup game when we played West Ham is that when I looked on that bench, it was a very inexperienced bench. And if anything had gone wrong, we wouldn't really have had anybody on the bench that we could have brought on. And remembering here, again, Giroud's out, and he would have been a good guy to have had starting in a game like this. But that team there, what I've just named, should be strong enough to beat Nottingham Forest. What do you guys think? Leave it in the comments below. But looking forward to the game. Going up there to Nottingham Forest on Sunday. Arsenal begin the defence of the FA Cup.
Subscribe to ArsenalFanTV.